feel like really nervous to do this vlog for some reason.
So funny.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new vlog. If you're new here, my name is Sarah and I make lifestyle content with my husband Andrew and our two cats, Nunu and Spriggs. So I thought it was finally time to update you guys and make another video about the budget journal that I created back in October. So if you haven't seen the first video, I'm gonna link it below so you can go check that out. But yeah, so the budget journal. Unfortunately, it didn't go exactly as I hoped it would go. At first, Andrew and I were doing a really good job keeping track of everything we were spending money on. We would go to the store and save our receipts and come home and write everything down in the journal. But that lasted until about November 10th, I believe, so 10 days. Hi, Nunu. Then it just got too tedious and we kind of went rogue. It was too hard to come home and sit down every time we went shopping because we did end up going to the store a lot, and so we just stopped doing that. Hi baby. Hi baby. What I've decided to do instead is to look at our credit cards and our bank statements and write everything down afterwards and go through and categorize it and look at it in terms of the budget. So it's gonna be a little bit more time consuming at the end, but it was just frustrating having to do that every day after we were shopping, and it just wasn't feasible for us. One of the big downfalls in doing it this way is, one, we weren't keeping as good of track as we'd like to on what we were purchasing and how much we were spending as we were spending it. And two, going through your purchases afterwards and trying to categorize them is a bit complicated, especially for how I had it set up, because I was separating like cosmetics and groceries, and oftentimes we would go to the grocery store and be buying things within both of those categories. So like my credit card statement just says Walmart for a certain amount of money, but it doesn't say what I bought there. So it's gonna be a bit challenging, but I'm gonna do the best that I can and try to categorize everything. It's not ideal and I wish we did better with it, but this was a good learning experience. Okay, so let's go and see how we did in November, and then after that I'm going to talk to you guys about what we are planning to do going forward with tracking our finances and some of our financial goals for the remainder of this year. Okay, so this is the page that I need to be updating. I already filled in my set costs for the month, and then I filled in my estimated costs. And the good thing is a lot of them were actually less expensive than I had estimated. For example, for some reason, we estimated that gas would be $130 and it only came to $54.47, which was amazing. Electric was a little under. And toiletries, I just estimated that it was about the same because I wasn't 100% sure. Groceries, however, was way over. We spent around $723 on groceries that month, where we hoped to spend around $600. So that was a bit over. And then I had $1,541.94 in other purchases that I did not categorize into these costs. So now I just need to go and add all of these up so I can do my total costs for the month. Okay, so there are a few things that I noticed when I was going through all this stuff. Is one, we spend an insane amount of money on food, so we really have to work on that. I knew that that was an issue for us before we started trying to get our finances together, but somehow it's still an issue for us, so that's something that we really have to work on. Two is that we spent a lot of money on Christmas presents that month because it was November, which is totally fine, but that did take away from some of our savings, but that's totally okay. That was expected, so it was kind of like a bad month for this to be our first trial period because we knew we'd be spending more money than usual. I forgot to mention that part of those other purchases was part of us achieving one of our goals, so we actually were able to buy a washer and dryer, and we have them now, which is amazing. So we were actually able to fill in our little goal chart here and cross that off, so we have that achieved, which is great. So that did also contribute towards our spending that month. because we did put in a little extra money for remodeling the room. The landlord paid for most of it, but there were a few things that we just fronted the cost for. So yeah, we did end up spending a little more money than we hoped, but that's okay. We were able to still save, in addition to achieving that goal, still save $475, which isn't a ton of money, but it's something, and we can put that into our savings, and at least we're able to save something. So I'm happy about that. Okay, so going forward, what are we gonna do about this? Because clearly it did not work the way that I had originally planned. So yeah, the biggest thing for me is and Andrew, I guess it is laziness, I don't know. We just don't want to have to come home and keep track of receipts and write down what everything we bought is and keep track of it. But we want to know every day, like to be able to see in front of us how much money we've spent so far that month and what we're spending the money on. So it's kind of like an issue at the moment, but I know a lot of people use a cash envelope method, where they take their cash out that they're allowed to spend for the month and they break it up into different categories and envelopes, and they just pay everything with cash, and that way they can really keep track of how much they spent in each category. And that would be great, except Andrew and I don't do that because we use our credit cards to pay for things. We don't use our credit cards necessarily as a lot of people would use credit cards. Like, we like to have the money in our account if we're using a credit card. We don't like to have like a balance rolling over, but we like to use credit cards because we get points for them, which we use to stay at hotels and to travel, which are really nice. So really good benefits. And they also give us like deals, like when we purchase certain things, if there's a deal going on for that thing, we're able to get money back and such. So we really want to continue using our credit cards because they're really benefiting us. So what I decided to do was to get the Mint app, and it was free and everything, so it is no extra cost to me. What it is an app that tracks all of your spending. It connects to your bank account, it connects to your credit cards, it connects to all your subscriptions and everything. And it keeps track of the money you spend each day and what category that money was within. It's not perfect. If I go to Walmart, it's still not gonna tell me like, oh, you bought this much of groceries and this much of cosmetics and this much of household supplies, but at least I'll be able to see that this is what I spent at the store. This will be nice because I'll be able to look at my phone every day and see, like, track my spending really easily. It's very visual, so there's a little chart that pops up and it shows how much I'm spending in each category in real time. So that's amazing, and I think that's going to be really helpful. And I'll still use my journal. So what I plan to do is to go through each day and look at my app and kind of write this stuff down in my journal to keep track. I'm not going to write down each individual purchase, but I can keep track of the different categories and how much I'm spending in each. And I'd be really interested to know what you guys think of journaling and keeping track of your finances that way, or if you use a different method that works really good for you, because I don't know. I want to be a journaler, so I'm going to try to make this work, and I'm excited to try it with the Mint app this time. So, goals. Our financial goals for the new year mainly consist of saving for a house. Despite me trying to live a more minimal life, I still feel like no matter what we do, how much we get rid of, we'll still need more space. It's hard living in a small space, especially if we want to start a family. Like, that's going to be challenging. Our apartment isn't super tiny, but it is still tiny. So just having some more space and organization so that you don't feel cramped, because for me, part of like trying to adopt a minimalist lifestyle is to reduce stress and just feel like more relaxed and happy, and having more space and not feeling like I'm living in clutter would really help with that. So that is our main goal for this year, to just save as much money as we can for a down payment. And to try to achieve that, I'm going to continue with the tracking of our finances, of course, and also I'm going to really try to think about things before I purchase them. I've been trying to do this, and like I go through phases of being really good and really bad, not making impulse purchases. Like when something goes on sale that I really want, just buying it, like that's going to add up. So really thinking about things before I buy them, trying to figure out a way to reduce our spending on food. There's no need for us to be spending that much money on groceries. I know the costs are going up, but we have an Aldi's here, so we should be shopping at Aldi's a little bit more than other stores, trying to see what we can get there, and trying to reduce food waste, so not, going out and buying new food when we have food at home, just because we don't want, but it's because we aren't in the mood for that food. So yeah, there's a lot of things we can do. We just got to be consistent. Of course, we're not going to be perfect. We're going to mess up, but as long as I'm tracking it, we'll be able to catch ourselves when we are slipping and then get back on track. So that is my goal for this year. I also chose 3 different categories of things that I am not going to be purchasing this year, or that I'm going to be purchasing significantly less of this year. And the first category is going to be travel. So Andrew and I love traveling. We used to travel a lot internationally. And lately we've been liking to travel a lot within the States, just locally. But this year we're going to try to significantly reduce our travel, probably not go on many trips at all, just to help save money. We usually would pay for our trips with our hotel points from our credit card, so that would like not pay for the trip but pay for the hotels, which did save us a lot of money, but we still had to pay to get to the place. We were paying a lot of money for food once we got there and any activities we wanted to do, so it would still cost us at least a couple $100s for even just little mini weekend trips. So we're going to try not to go on any trips this year. Second is expensive skincare. So I think last year I was really trying to find products that worked for me, so I was trying a lot of different things at a lot of different price points, and now I've kind of found products that I really like, I know are good for my skin, and they're not as expensive as some of the products that I was purchasing. So this year I'm going to stick to the skincare that is working for me, as long as it continues working for me, and not keep buying like expensive products that I don't need. I don't want to keep doing this trial and error thing. I know what works for me and I'm gonna stick to that. So that'll save a ton of money, because skincare can get so expensive, and it's frustrating because a lot of people don't read the ingredients that are in the products, and sometimes the less expensive drugstore products are exactly the same thing as the really expensive serums and lotions. So it's really good to look into that. I follow a bunch of dermatologists on Instagram and YouTube, and I've learned a lot from them. So I'll link them below so you can check them out. They're really cool. But yeah, so this year I will be spending a lot less money on skincare, which will save us, which will be great. And finally, the last thing that I will not be buying this year is household decor, which pains me because I love buying household decor and making everything look pretty, but I have a lot of stuff here. I don't need more decorations, especially because we're just living in this small apartment. I don't have room to store things here, so yeah, there's just no space. So we have enough decor for now, and I'm gonna try really hard to follow this rule, because I noticed, like for example, in November, I bought a bunch of Christmas decorations and little decor pieces that I didn't need, and that cost a lot of money and added to, it added a lot to the total cost of other fees. So if I could reduce that and not buy those things, that will help a lot. Okay, so that is it for my financial journal update. I hope you guys found this helpful, or at least interesting, to see where we were spending money and where we were saving. I'd love to hear in the comments below if there's certain things that you guys are hoping to not spend money on this year, or at least reduce spending money on. And also, if you have any tips and tricks for budgeting and keeping track of your finances, I'd love to hear that as well. I'm always looking for new ways to better track my spending habits. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated again. Maybe in a few months I'll let you guys know how it's been going with the Mint app and my tracking. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching.